Hi, good evening, everyone. So, beta, let us go ahead and begin with the next chapter now. And this is Serrano chapter 3. This is a very, very good chapter, very interesting chapter. In this chapter, we are going to go ahead and we are going to talk about, what is a budget line? What are the different forms of budget line? And how do we attain consumer equilibrium? So, we will go ahead and talk about all of this. So to begin with, let us start by understanding what is a standard budget line. So please write down the topic as, so this is Serrano chapter 3. And the name of the chapter is Budget Constraint and Consumer Optimal Choice. But before I begin this chapter now, just one announcement to be made. See, this is not, according to me, this is not a very well-written book, Serrano, okay? It has they go ahead and they write something and then they just skip a lot of part, right? So to go ahead and understand the entirety of this course, what I've done is, in your portal, you will find some recorded lectures also. It is my humble request that before you go through this book and through my live lectures, definitely see those recorded lectures. That will set the right base for you. Otherwise, ये book समझनी बहुत ही मुश्किल है. It's not a good book. So you must go ahead and you must go through those live lectures, recorded lectures, before you sit for my live lectures. Okay? That's one thing that I want to highlight. Okay. So now, better let's start with budget constraint. Now think about this. Any consumer cannot go ahead and consume more than his income. Ye pakki baat hai. If I am earning 40 rupees, of course, I can take loan, which I will think about it later. But for now, if I am a consumer, I cannot go ahead and I cannot consume more than my income, right? So let's say that the income of the consumer, that is M. Okay, beta. Income of consumer is given as M. And let's say that there are two goods, good 1 and good 2. In दोनों ही goods का price is given to you. So price of good 1 is P1 and price of good 2 is P2. Can you tell me what is going to happen? How much this consumer can consume? Dekho. Let's say that the consumer consumes X1 units of good 1 and X2 units of good 2. Okay, ji. But what will be expenditure on good 1? Kitna kharcha kar raha hai good 1 pe? The expenditure on good 1 will be P1 into X1. I am buying X1 units, each at price P1. So expenditure on good 1 is going to be P1 X1. Clear one? What is going to be expenditure on good 2? Expenditure on good 2. But that will be P2 X2. Isn't it? So take an example. Suppose I tell you that I want to go ahead and consume 5 units of good, each at 4 rupees. And I want to consume 6 units of, this is 5 units of chocolates. Each chocolate is for 4 rupees. And I want to consume 6 units of chips. And each chip is for 10 rupees. So beta, how much I am spending on chocolates? 20. That means it is my expenditure on chocolate, P1 into X1, price of chocolate into units of chocolate. What is my expenditure on good 2? Beta, P2 X2. That is going to come as 60. So total mein this will become as 80. So how much can I buy in total? How much money do I require to buy chips and chocolates? 80 rupees. If I don't have this 80 rupees, I cannot buy these chips and chocolates. Na? So accordingly, beta, जो मेरा budget constraint होता है, your budget constraint, what will that be? It will be P1 X1. That means the money that you are spending on good 1 plus P2 X2. That means the money you are spending on good 2. And I cannot exceed my income. मैं अपनी income से ज़्यादा थोड़ी खर्च कर सकती हूँ. So less than or equal to income of the consumer. This equation that I have written, this equation is called budget constraint. So what is budget constraint saying? It is saying that the money that you spend on the 2 goods, it cannot exceed income. It cannot exceed your income. जो भी पैसा हम खर्च कर रहे हैं, it cannot exceed the income of the consumer. Now just think about this, okay? I can go one step ahead. मैं इससे एक step ऊपर जा सकती हूँ. And what can I say, beta? I can say that so I should not exceed my income. Na? I should not spend more than my income. But I can spend less than my income. And I can spend exactly equal to my income. So what can happen is, if you spend exactly equal to income, then it will become P1 X1 plus P2 X2 is equal to M. So beta, when you spend exactly equal to your income, when you have P1 X1 plus P2 X2 exactly equal to M, this is called budget line. Equality represents a line. This is a constraint. ये मेरे ऊपर constraint है. What do I mean by constraint? कि देखो income से ज़्यादा खर्च नहीं कर सकते हो. You cannot spend more than income, but you can spend less than income. So as long as it is less than equal to income, that is constraint. But if I spend exactly equal to income, that's a line. Now when I spend less than or equal to my income, then beta, all points that satisfy this equation, ये वाली equation, जो भी point satisfy करते हैं, that forms a budget set. All points, all bundles satisfying the budget constraint formulate the budget set. I hope this is clear to you. Okay. So please write down. Definition of budget constraint. लिख लो. What is budget constraint? Please write down. Consumers standard budget constraint is the amount, is the sum of the amount he spends on each good which cannot exceed income of the consumer. So what am I saying? I am saying that what is my budget constraint? That the amount that I spend on each good, it cannot exceed the income of the consumer. Next definition लिखो बेटा, budget set. Budget set. The set of all bundles that satisfy budget constraint is called budget set. एक example लेते हैं. Let's take an example. But let's say I have the price of good 1 as 2. Price of good 2 is 4. ठीक है. Income of the consumer is 100. So consider this point, that I am consuming 10 units of good 1 and 10 units of good 2. So beta, how much I am spending? 2 into 10, that is the amount I'm spending on good 1. Price of good into units of good, that's the amount I'm spending on good 1, plus 4 into 10. This is the amount of money I'm spending on good 2. And so 2 into 10 is 20, 4 into 10 is 40. That means I'm spending 60 rupees. 60 is less than my income. So beta, this bundle 10, 10, this is part of the budget set. Budget set में वो सारे bundles आएंगे such that you spend less than or equal to the income. Less than is also fine. But budget line will have those bundles where you spend exactly your income. So is this on the budget line? No. What can be a point on the budget line? Maybe something like this. Suppose beta x2 is, let's say 25 and x1 is 0. How much money you're spending on x1? Excuse me, sorry. How much money you're spending on x1? P1 x1. So 0, price of P1 good 1 is 2. So this is 0. And beta, what is P2 x2? This is going to be 25 into 4. This is 100. So I'm spending 0 rupees on good 1, 100 rupees on good 2. How much am I spending in total? What is my income? 100. So is this part of the budget line? Yes. Is this part of the budget set? Yes. So understand that budget line, please write down the definition, will have all points which consume exactly your income. Which consume exactly equal to income. So all points which spend exactly your income becomes the budget line. अच्छा बेटा, अब आगे समझो. Let's say my budget line is P1 x1 plus P2 x2 is equal to M. Can you tell me what will happen when I go ahead and I put x1 as 0? So when I, instead of x1, I put 0, but what will be the value of x2? How can I find that? Just put 0. What will you get? P1 into 0 plus P2 x2 is equal to M. So beta, this will simply be P2 x2 is equal to M. So your x2 will be M by P2. Can you tell me what will happen when you put x2 as 0? देखो जरा. P1 x1 plus P2 x2 is equal to M. So beta, when I put x2 as 0, when I put this as 0, what will I get? I will get P1 x1 plus P2 into 0 is equal to M. P1 x1 is M. X1 will be M by P1. Is this clear? Now, just come back to the budget line. So beta, you get P1 x1 plus P2 x2 is equal to M. This is my budget line. If I were to plot this, what can I do? I can take good 1 here. I can take good 2 here. And now I can just plot. So any point on the x-axis, beta, represents that the good 2 is 0. So when I had plugged good 2 as 0, what is the point I got? Kya intercept nikla tha? M by P1. So here I will have M by P1. Similarly, when you went ahead and you plugged in x1 as 0, matlab it's a point on the y-axis, right? So what is the intercept I got? M by P2. So beta, I got here M by P2. When you join this, you will get your budget line. So what is your budget line? Your budget line is by joining the two intercepts. Now, what is slope of a line? देखो maths में समझते हैं. There are many ways to calculate the slope. The first way that I have to calculate the slope in maths is find out change in the vertical axis, change in y divided by change in good x. ठीक है जी. Now just have a look here. Suppose I want to calculate the slope of this budget line. What can I do? It will be perpendicular by base. वही होता है. This is exactly what I've written here. This can be written as perpendicular by base. What is your perpendicular? Your perpendicular is this. And what is your base? Your base is this. So your perpendicular, beta, this coordinate, perpendicular, ये वाला जो हमारा है coordinate, this is 0, m by P2. और जो बेटा base का coordinate है, that is m by P1, 0. ठीक है. So can I find out the change? I can. How can I find the change? The change in perpendicular by the change in base. If you go ahead and you find that out, this divided by this, what will you get? You will get m by P2 divided by m by P1 with a negative sign. And this can simply be written as minus P1 by P2. So the slope of the budget line can be written as the ratio of the prices. एक और तरीका है समझने का. Let's think about it. Second method. Beta, whenever you talk about maths, in maths you must have read this equation y is equal to mx plus c, where c is the intercept and m is the slope. सुनी होगी ये equation. We have done this equation in maths a lot of times in class 10th, 11th. Acha, write this budget line. What is your budget line? P1 x1 plus P2 x2 is equal to m. I have to just keep जो भी y axis पे variable आ रहा है ना, सिर्फ वो एक side पे रखना है. What is coming on the y axis? I am getting x2 on the y axis. So I will only keep x2. So what will I get if I derive x2 beta? So I will get P2 x2. Just take this part here. Will be m minus P1 x1. So beta x2 will be m by P2 minus P1 by P2 x1. So I can rewrite this as minus P1 by P2 into x1 plus m by P2. This will be x2. This is exactly of the same format. यही तो है, y is equal to mx plus c. So if I just compare this, y is equal to mx plus c. So beta, what is the slope that I am getting? I am getting the slope as minus P1 by P2. And what is the intercept I am getting? M by P2. Correct? The intercept was M by P2. And the slope of this line that I've got is minus P1 by P2. So this is another method to find the slope of the budget line. But method number 3. This is given in your book. We will do this method also. क्या method है समझ लेते हैं. So try to understand that the budget line is P1 x1 plus P2 x2 is equal to income. ठीक है. But suppose I introduce change throughout. P1, P2, P1, P2 and M are constants. Price तो आपको given ही है, prices are given to you. Income is constant. Income consumer की change नहीं हो सकती है. Consumer क्या सोच सकता है कि given my income, what is the consumption of the two goods that I can consume? So what can the consumer think? बेटा ये हमने budget line बनाई है ना, तो कंज्यूमर पॉइंट ए पे भी हो सकता है, बी पे भी हो सकता है, सी पे भी हो सकता है, डी पे भी हो सकता है, ई पे भी हो सकता है. हर पॉइंट पे उसकी कंजम्पशन ऑफ द टू गुड्स चेंज हो रही है. बट व्हाट इज कांस्टेंट? द इनकम ऑफ द कंज्यूमर एंड द प्राइसेस ऑफ द गुड्स. वो चेंज नहीं हो रही हैं क्रॉस द बजट लाइन. सो नाउ व्हाट आई कैन डू, इफ आई वांट टू शो दिस थिंग थ्रू दिस इक्वेशन, कैसे आई कैन राइट दिस? I can just bring change and I can say P1 change in X1 plus P2 change in X2 is equal to M, change in M. Now, what did I tell you? That income does not change along a budget line. So beta, if income is not changing, that means I must put this as 0. So what will I get? P1 change in X1 plus P2 change in X2 will be 0. So P1 change in X1 will be minus P2 change in X2. I am taking this on the other side. So what will I get? Beta, from here I will get change in X2 by change in X1. इसको यहाँ ले आओ, will be minus P1 by P2. Now, ये क्या है? Perpendicular by BC तो है. Just notice here. What is the slope, beta? What is the slope between A to B? Slope is nothing but change in the perpendicular by change in base. Perpendicular measured the good 2 and base measured good 1. So slope is nothing but change in X2 by change in X1. And this is coming as P1 by P2. So this is another way to measure the slope. So you can measure the slope using any of this formula. I hope this is clear to you. Now try to think about it. But this slope, it gives you the market trade-off between two goods. It gives you the market trade-off between the two goods. Take an example. Suppose I tell you that, I have 4 pens with me, or her pen costs 10 rupees. Each pen is for 10 rupees. And now I tell you, beta, that I have, let's say, I want to go ahead and I want to get, let's say, 1 packet of chips. And I tell you, this Uncle Chips packet, it costs rupees 20. You don't have any money. Just think like this. You have just 4 pens with you, and now you want to somehow get 1 packet of chips. What can you do? You can go to the market. How many pens will you have to sell to get 1 packet of chips? एक chips खरीदने के लिए कितने पेन देने पड़ेंगे? 2 pens. When you will give up 2 pens, then what will happen? You will earn 20 rupees. And from those 20 rupees, because chips was costing you 20, you can buy 1 packet of chips. Right? So how do I know this will be exactly 2? By finding the price ratio. By dividing 20 by 10. So this is 2. That means if I give up 2 pens, I can buy 1 chips. This is nothing but what? The price ratio between the two. And this is what? How much pen I must give up to buy 1 unit of chips. So this is negative, because I'm giving up. So beta, how much pen should I give up to buy 1 unit of chips? That will be 2. I have to give up 2 pens for 1 chips. This is what the price ratio tells you. Are you getting it? So the slope, basically the slope of the budget line, it is telling you the rate at which market substitutes one good for another. Okay, now let's move one way forward. So now, when I talk about the budget line, we must understand two things in the budget line. One is called shift of the budget line, and the other is known as pivoting of the budget line. But when I talk about shift of budget line, this shift of budget line means it comes when you change the income of the consumer, increase or decrease the income. ध्यान से समझो, देखो मेरी बजट लाइन का स्लोप क्या आया था बेटा, P1 by P2. स्लोप को इनकम से कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ रहा. तो जब इनकम बढ़ेगी या कम होगी, when income will increase or decrease, then my budget line will shift, but there will be no change in the slope. The slope of the budget line will not change. Take an example. Right now, we plotted a budget line. And what was this budget line? It was something like this. I have taken good 1 here, and I took good 2 here, and a bit of. And on the x-axis, I had m by P1, and on the y-axis, I had m by P2. Now imagine, when income increases, so better this intercept will increase and this intercept will also increase. So your budget line will shift outwards. Parallel shift hoga. There is no change in the slope of the budget line. Let's take an example. Suppose price of good 1 is 1. Price of good 2 is also 1. Income of the consumer is, say, 20. Okay, beta. So, what will be your x-axis intercept? I have just taught you. The x-axis intercept should be m by px. So, m by px ho jayega 20 by 1, which means 20. And m by py will be 20 by 1, which is 20. So, this will be your budget line. 20 yahan pe, 20 yahan pe. Now, I am asking what will happen when your income increases to 25. But what will be your x-axis intercept now? M by px. But income is 25 now. So 25 by 1, which means 25. And m dash by py. That means 25 by 1. That means 25. Income has increased to 25 now. Prices are the same. So this will be your new budget line with 25 on both the sides. Is this clear? So the budget line will shift, but the slope will be unchanged. This is called shift of the budget line. But now we want to see what is going to be pivoting of the budget line. When I talk about pivot of budget line, what I mean that there is change in slope of the budget line. When the slope of budget line changes, then there will be pivot of the budget line. Mane, slope kya tha? What did we find the slope as? P1 by P2 now. So whenever there will be change in prices, that is when the budget line will pivot. Let's take an example. So suppose, let's continue with the same example. Price of good X, beta is 1. Price of good Y is also 1. And income of the consumer is given to you as 20. And now I am telling you the price increases to 2.